Yo, hey everybody. I wanted to drop a quick one on you relating to using analog synth. So I was working on this chord. I started from a very bland chord and I managed to make it sound much more lush. Let's compare these two real quick. This is the first one. So how to do that? Let's take a look. So both tracks use the same notes. So there's no difference in notes. And they use the same instrument as well. So the first one sounds really clean, like no life to it. It's just, and the second one is just way more lively. So there's a few things in analog synth, and let's just run through them all. The very first obvious one is using a second oscillator. So let's start here. Everyone knows this, I know, but trust me, there's way more. So I'll turn on the second oscillator and let's detune it just a little bit. And I'll keep comparing. I've mapped these mute buttons to my keyboard, so I can just flick these real quick. So that's a start. Let's take a look at the filter and what you have here. The filter offers a few different models in terms of its drive. So you can try and change these settings and pay attention to how it changes the sound. Because some of these just sound way fuller. If you go drive off and compare it to, it does feel a little fuller. Let me just go for, that'll work. Another thing is, let's first actually add a little bit of filter envelope. And how I always make it work is I take the frequency down. And then when you click on this tab, you see this envelope here. So now what happens is this envelope affects the filter in such a way that it opens the filter kind of quick and then the filter comes back down. Really just based on this graphic envelope here. This literally shows you what this envelope does to the filter. So there's a bit of movement, it's not so static. So let's compare. So hey, even that's a little nicer. So let's go here and let's check out unison. So what unison does is it increases the amount of voices and it detunes them against each other. So basically the same thing that I did to the second oscillator here, but you will get more voices. Let me just straight away crank the voices amount as high as it can go and also increase the amount of unison voices. So technically now there's 4 voices per note and I have 5. Or did I have, I have 6 notes per chord. So 6 times 4 is 24. So you just want to make the voices amount kind of high. And then after this, you want to increase the detune amount of unison. So on and off. Obviously, it does increase the level. So I'll just take the level down a little bit. And let's compare. One thing that's actually fairly interesting, and I think a lot of people probably miss it, is when you click on this volume tab, you'll see this error. So error introduces tuning mistakes in a way. So the notes are they're not in perfect tune. So this kind of increases drifting of the notes. Once again, just compare. I think I'm getting there. I was probably pretty much here. But then also there's this frequency modulation for the filter, and it's controlled by LFO. So frequency modulation controlled by LFO, you just got to enabled LFO first. So now it's on, and then you can set the rate. So this is the intensity, or like how much the LFO controls the filter. So now you hear it's too intense and it's too fast. So let's decrease the amount of LFO to frequency of the filter. And let's also go and set the rate to the LFO to something much lower, because I don't want it to be like super perceivable. It's still way too much. I want just a little bit. This was my target. Let's compare. I could probably add a little bit of resonance. Yeah, I think we're pretty close. One thing I didn't actually do was this vibrato. Oops, sorry. So also this you can totally overdo this. This obviously affects all the notes. How I often do this is like I make it super extreme, and then just to hear the effect, and then I turn down the amount. Like now it's too fast for the... So it'll make it drift just a little bit. I want to make it so slow that it's not super easy to hear that, yo, it's kind of drifting, but it does have pretty big effect on how much the sound changes. Like pretty much all the changes that I did here are fairly small, but when you do them all at the same time, it's just a nice lush chord. So that is pretty much it. Pay attention to all of these controls, because they kind of do have a bit of a big effect on the total sound. So let's really quickly run through everything that my synth has eaten. So I first enabled the second oscillator. It is pretty critical in terms of introducing a lot of life. And then I detune it just a little bit. I don't want to go too crazy. Then I went for filter, and I found this drive control, and this does affect the fullness of the sound. Then what else? I took the filter down, and I increased the amount of filter envelope control, so it's here. Then I enabled unison, and I just went for as many voices as the synth can do, and also that is for the general amount of maximum voices, and also unison voices. So I did that, and then I increased unison amount, and then I applied a little bit of LFO control to the filter. So that is pretty much it. So how close to my target did I get? I'm there. Why did I do this? Sometimes I kind of teach myself some stuff, like I mess with things. Like I started messing with this, and I put a little bit of time. Then I think of, like, can I teach this? Can I run through all the things? And then it's kind of good to kind of compare what you are doing to what you did earlier. That kind of teaches you to teach yourself, and also to learn the parameters you're messing with. From here on, I would definitely add a little bit of reverb, but it's often nice to try and see how far you can go in terms of lushness without any external tools. When you make it work, then you can put a little bit of reverb there, and synth heaven. I hope it helps. If you want private tuition, hit me up. I love doing this.